like that again. Oh, and that looks just terrible. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. But look at it lands. Oh, almost lands anyway. Welcome back to the channel. We are going to check out Dricus du Plessis. He just beat Strickland in their second fight. Now I'm really interested because I need to know what the hell this guy's doing. I didn't even see the second fight. I just heard about it a bunch. And I'm not going to be breaking down their second fight because I'm not paying the UFC a dime for the pay-per-view. I'm just going to take what's free on Fight Pass. We're going to look at a couple of his fights. We're going to check out what the heck he's doing because this guy fights super strange and it doesn't have common techniques. Like, it's very difficult to see exactly what makes this guy so good. He kind of looks like he sucks, but yet he beats all these guys who are good and who we can tell are good. So we need to see what the heck is going on here. I don't get it. Strickland. If you guys want to get in on this live, then you got to join the free community. Link is down below. Fighters Heaven. Never know when I'm going to jump on, but I do jump on as much as I can and break down stuff that is interesting. So both these guys are super interesting. They both practice martial arts in a way that's quite different than the average, right? So let's see what the heck is happening. I'm not going to talk about. I'm going to try not to talk about Strickland all that much. I'm really focused on Dricus. Right, you can see he's coming out here orthodox. His back foot is pointing sideways. His front foot is pointing at his opponent. This is classical L foot syndrome, which I hate. But it seems to work for some people, especially if they have really open hips. Hands are high. He's twitching that back leg around. Okay, we'll see what we can get here from the full speed, and then we'll definitely bring it back. Looking to pull the jab. He seems to do a lot of this, right? Which I'm not a huge fan of. Nice little left head kick there. No real setup for it. Which is, it's almost like a foot jab. It's a very, very great technique to have in your arsenal. Not a common technique to have is a lead leg head kick with no switch and a very small step for the setup. So already we're seeing some somewhat unorthodox weaponry. Switches to southpaw here and back and forth. I know he switches a lot. I think this is one of the reasons that he's effective. His guard is somewhat high, but it doesn't look like he has a serious plan for each individual punch, kind of like a one size fits all type of defense, but he does vary it because he's switching different stances, and he will look. He's hand fighting there and goes back into the shell. Sometimes he's reaching out, trying to deal with each specific punch, and other times he's just like, save me, forearms, and it seems to work because he doesn't get hit a ton. He's also super tough and durable, which is the same thing. Leaning back a little bit with his left hook. Chin is popping up here and there. Seems to be very comfortable in both stances. Not always a rhyme or reason, it seems, for when he's doing what. Nice little spin threat there. Body kick from open stance. Or back to closed and back to open again. Working on the hand fight with the lead arm. Okay, and trying to pick him off with that jab. Nice little shows a hand fight from open and then blast that left kick up high after just going to the body. Reaching out now for a double hand fight from closed stance. Yeah, it seems like he's down to parry out here. He's also down to shell up here. Okay, so having that variance in his defense is definitely going to be quite useful. There he went from southpaw here. He throws the kick and then takes a step. And when you just kick with that leg and then you step forward with it in a shift, it's hard for the opponent to read because it kind of registers like a kick. And then he steps in and closes the distance with a big left hook to overhand. Right, and that closes the gap quite quickly. I feel like this might be one of the reasons why he's quite effective is because he's able to cover that gap and kind of mask his strikes or move his movement with strikes. Yeah, again trying to come over the jab with the overhand. Everybody knows Strickland has a really annoying jab, really annoying teep or front kick. Okay, so Dricus is definitely going to trying to shut those down. That's smart. He shot from pretty far away. But again, even on the shot, it's not orthodox, right? It's not like the regular shot, right? He doesn't really step with the front leg. If he does, it's very, very small step. But this back foot's coming up heavy, right? Like normally, if you're a good wrestler, by the time this front leg hits the ground or the knee hits the ground, whatever you're using, okay, you're going to be close. This gap will be already closed off. Your chest will be on the leg, head will be on the hip. Okay, but you can see he's shooting from a long distance, and then he's relying on this back leg to come up and cover the ground here, right? So now that back foot comes in, and now he's connected to the legs. And then even from there, he's down to drop down to his knee, which gives him even more penetration, brings his chest much closer to the thigh, allows his spine to remain straight. And he's just knee walking, which isn't super common, right? He's walking on his knees all the way across until he can get Strickland to the fence. And then he stays down on the knee, which look at his spine line, right? Very straight. And comes up, and once the hands are locked, comes up, and it's almost done. Once you have your hands locked, it's like almost a guaranteed takedown, not completely, but it is almost guaranteed. Now, Strickland is not known as a grappler, right? So he's going to be always just trying to stand back up. Dricus here putting in a leg ride, trying to get behind him. Fails. He didn't have quite the height for it, and then goes right away into the twist, right? Gets his leg in front. This is a very common takedown. Used to be completely uncommon until a couple years ago. And now he's just going to pull him forward with that body lock in order to get his hands down to the mat. And again, going for the leg ride. Trying to climb up the body. Jab from open stance here. Yeah, feinting the kick and then throwing the kick. The variety is tricky. So I feel like Dricus just looking at this footage so far, it seemed I think he gets a bit of a bad rap because not everything looks pretty. That's the biggest thing, and I'm hugely guilty of this. Is I like it when things look pretty, but they don't need to look pretty, right? They just need to be effective. And the things that Dricus is doing, like this fake low, go high, question mark kick, look, bang, low kick, and then a little question mark, which fakes low and goes high, right? Like that was pretty, right? But that wasn't. That was horribly ugly. Look at this overhand right hook here from open stance. Just terrible, right? It looks just like a caveman throwing a punch, but that thing is effective, right? It's an effective strike, and right away he back shifts out, right, and goes back to a closed stance situation to put distance in between him and his opponent, right? His head looks like it's a little bit up when he's jabbing. Right, like that again. Oh, and that looks just terrible. Look at this. But look at it lands. Huh, huh. Oh, almost lands anyway. Huh, huh. This like blitzing. Look at his footwork here. Lefty. And then look, he steps back and steps in with the left hook, and then brings the foot again, right? And he ends in a closed stance, right? So the footwork and movement is not pretty, but it is not amateurish either. It is quite effective, the things that he's doing, and maybe the kinetic linking isn't 100% perfect. I'm sure there's a couple things that he could do better, but this is a classic example of someone who is awkward, okay, but effective. Now, I see this a lot when people don't have a crazy level of coordination, right? And I'm not saying he's not coordinated, but if you watch the guy dance, he's probably not the best dancer, right? Which dancing, if you're a good dancer, usually that's a coordinated person. If you're not a good dancer, usually you're not a very coordinated person, at least not in the sense that I'm speaking of, right? And some of the movements that he makes are super ugly, but you don't get points for being pretty in fighting. Okay, at least not in reality, not in a real MMA fight. All that matters is that he's effective, and it does seem that there is some serious strategy behind what he's doing. It is not easy to see what that strategy is because there is such a wide variety of techniques, and some of them, like that winging big chocolate L overhand that he throws, right? They look like something that a street fighter would do, right? And like that, like look at this right overhand, right? He's not even looking at him, right? And then the left hook, still head way down, not looking at him. But also, most of Strickland's punches here would go over his head if he happened to be throwing, right? And these punches are very heavy. His head is moving while he's punching, so it's not super easy to hit him. Uh, he's doing a lot right. He's doing a lot more right than one would expect when initially watching the guy. It's like, who is this dude? He looks like he's just super awkward and doesn't know what he's doing, but it seems to work anyway. Maybe he's just tough, right? I hear a lot of people say that about Dricus, that he's just tough, and it's because he has this incredible physical attribute that that he is as successful as he is. Well, I'm sure that there's a part of that in there. We've seen him get clipped a few times here, but honestly, he's not getting hit very much. He's not getting hit very much due to the fact that he is switching between stances, right? He's changing the defenses that he's using. Like you see here, we're in an open stance situation. He's using a long hand fight on the front hand. He doesn't really do this in closed stance, although will do it once in a while. But he almost does this immediately as soon as he ends up in an open stance situation, which that's what I would do. Like, that's a very smart thing to do, right? He has plans, he has knowledge for how he's using his body in all of these different configurations that he uses. He's got different defenses, he's got different offenses. He'll spin, he'll kick, he kicks the leg, he kicks the body, he kicks the head. He can kick with his back, he can kick with his front leg without needing a switch or anything. It can be very difficult to pick apart a puzzle like that, and especially at this weight class, right? Like there's not near as many like really well-rounded, well-versed, like complete fighters at the higher weights. You see that the lighter the weight class is, the more technical people are, because they just don't have that power to rely on. And Dricus has that power while still having a wide variety of offense and defensive technique and theory that he's operating off of. And I feel like the fact that he is kind of ugly with his style, like the style is not pretty. I feel like that also plays in fighters' heads, especially when they are pretty fighters, right? Like in Israel, right? Like everything Israel does looks great. Looks like it's something out of a video game, right? You never saw a video game with a character like Mr. Dricus. They don't put those guys in there. It doesn't look like you've seen any of these techniques in any movies or anything. It looks like some stuff you see in like a high school brawl on YouTube. But there is real theory, real strategy behind his movements. He understands what he's doing and he understands why he's doing it, and that's why he's able to be effective and still look like poop. Like that looked like trash. This hook here, this hook. Look at this hook. Right hook, left hook. He does this often, right? There's some obviously defensive holes here when you're throwing a left hook like that with your right hand way down and your chin way up, right? And you can get clipped. You can get clipped, but I feel like the variety that he gives you, like he doesn't give you the same look twice in 1 minute almost, right? Like he does something and then he does something else, and then he does something else, and he does something else, and then he goes back to the first thing and does it again. It's really hard to set the trap if you just don't know which technique is going to come because the guy doesn't have a very small basic pattern. Like I feel like an Ilya Tapuria has a very small pattern. I'm not saying he's not a good fighter. He is a great fighter for obvious reasons. But he doesn't have a very large pattern to understand. He uses a very small set of techniques. Although his position and positional awareness and timing are absolutely phenomenal. Also his power, absolutely phenomenal. And patience, absolutely phenomenal. Okay. But it's easier to understand when things are coming if the person is just like throwing a right hand, a left hook, and a jab from the same stance. Right? Dricus is all over the place, man. All over the place. Blitzing, shifting, right? Like what the hell was that? Right into a spin. Like every boxing coach will tell you that this footwork is trash that he uses right here. Right? But even though he puts himself a little out of position with that wild right hook, right? If Strickland had come in, he would have eaten that back fist. Right? So even when he's in bad positions, he still has plans to kill you. He has attacks and defenses no matter what the situation, or it seems at least, which Strickland isn't putting him in all the most difficult situations, um, but yeah, we see that he definitely does have some serious strategy here. Yeah, I want to take a look at another fight. Let's look at the Adesanya fight. Okay, so I think we got a decent idea of what's going on now, right? We got a decent idea of this Dricus dude and how he does things. I'm not going to continue on and watch this entire fight. It's not really necessary, but it is necessary to just kind of break down again, repeat myself for the 50th time because this stuff is really important, right? Why is Dricus so good? I believe Dricus is so good because his guard, right? Not his jujitsu guard, but his high guard, right? He has his hands up when he needs to have his hands up, which is anytime the guy breaches the distance where he can use distance, angle, and slipping in order to deal with the threat. Okay. He doesn't just do that, though. He also uses hand fighting and long guards in closed stance and open stance, which is the next point, right? Number 3, he uses both stances. If you have both stances available, it's like you are twice the fighter, okay? You are twice the striker. You can cover distance twice as fast. You can create distance twice as fast. You have way more availability to create angles, right? And confuse the other person. The pattern is much larger than a lot of people at his weight class, right? This is 185, I think, right? At middleweight and up there are not a lot of people who fight both stances. There's not a lot of people who can kick and punch and grapple. There's not a lot of people who vary their defensive tactics, right? Have multiple types of defense that they employ, right? And then if you put all of that together with somebody that is very explosive, with somebody that is very durable, with somebody that is a hard worker and has a good gas tank, that's a very formidable opponent. And then if you add to that everything they do looks like poop, everything they do looks like it's not technically correct, right? That is very disheartening for anybody that is good at fighting, and especially if they look like they're good at fighting when they're fighting. Because I'm one of those people, so I know that when somebody like Elias Theodoro, who I used to train with all the time, rest in peace, my friend, I love you. When he used to hit me, it would annoy the crap out of me because that dude looks like he can't fight his way out of a wet paper bag. And he really can because he fights very different and he has a very large pattern similar to Dricus, right? So Dricus, big pattern, very durable, looks ugly and weird and poop. His style looks like poop. And if you're a pretty fighter and somebody's hitting you when they look like they suck, immediately you're going to start thinking like that shouldn't work. Hey, that's not a technique. Stop doing that. And if you start thinking about that, they're just going to hit you again and again and again. And they're going to confuse you and they're going to frustrate you and you're going to beat yourself. Okay, so that is what I think about Dricus. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like. If you want to get more access to these things live when I do them, join the Fighters Heaven group that we have, the community that we have. It's a free community. You can just join it. Link is down there. And then, yeah, send me questions. I like interact with people a lot more in the group than I do on the YouTube. So, yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.